The collision happened as the passenger plane was approaching Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. Both aircraft plummeted into the icy waters of the Potomac River, resulting in the loss of all 67 individuals on board both vehicles. This devastating event has been described as the deadliest U.S. aviation disaster since 2001. The passenger jet, a Bombardier CRJ-701R operated by PSA Airlines under the American Eagle brand, had departed from Wichita Dwight D. Eisenhower National Airport in Kansas. On board were 60 passengers and 4 crew members. Among the passengers was a group of teenage figure skaters from Boston, accompanied by their parents, as well as 2 former world champion skaters, Evgenia Shishkova and Vadim Naumov. The crew included Captain Jonathan Campos and First Officer Samuel Lilly, both experienced pilots with several years at the airline. The U.S. Army helicopter, a Sikorsky A-60 Black Hawk, was on a training flight from Davison Army Airfield in Fort Belvoir, Virginia. The helicopter had a crew of 3 military personnel, a captain, a chief warrant officer, and a staff sergeant. No senior officials were on board the helicopter at the time of the accident. The collision occurred at approximately 8:47 p.m. Eastern Time. Footage from a webcam at the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts captured the moment of impact, showing a brief trail of fire as the 2 aircraft collided. The passenger jet split in half upon impact with the river, while the helicopter came to rest upside down nearby. Emergency services were alerted promptly, with the first report to Metropolitan Police coming in at 8:53 p.m. Rescue teams, including the District of Columbia Fire and Emergency Medical Services Department, were dispatched to the scene. Fireboats were deployed to search for survivors in the river's frigid waters, which were recorded at a temperature of 35 degrees Fahrenheit. Despite their swift response, the harsh conditions and the severity of the crash made rescue efforts extremely challenging. Initial reports indicated that victims had been located, but it soon became clear that there were no survivors. Recovery operations continued into the following days, with divers from Maryland State Police assisting in the search. The fuselage of Flight 5342 was found upside down in 3 sections in the river. By the evening of January 30th, the flight data recorders, commonly known as black boxes, were recovered from the wreckage and transported to the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, lab for analysis. The NTSB, along with the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, the U.S. Department of Defense, and the U.S. Army, launched comprehensive investigations into the cause of the collision. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, also offered assistance, though there were no indications of terrorism or criminal activity. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada sent a team of 2 investigators to assist, given that the Bombardier CRJ-700 was designed and manufactured in Canada. Preliminary findings raised concerns about air traffic control operations at Reagan National Airport. Reports suggested that staffing levels in the control tower were not normal at the time of the accident, with only 1 controller managing both helicopter and airplane traffic. Moments before the collision, a controller had given ambiguous instructions to the helicopter, directing it to pass behind the incoming jet. This has led to scrutiny over whether miscommunication or understaffing may have contributed to the tragedy. The complex and congested airspace around Washington, D.C., has long been a concern for aviation experts. The proximity of commercial planes, military aircraft, and restricted areas makes navigation particularly challenging. This incident has reignited debates about the safety of air operations at Reagan National Airport, especially following recent decisions to allow more flights, potentially increasing congestion. In the aftermath of the crash, political figures have weighed in with their perspectives. Former President Donald Trump controversially blamed diversity initiatives from previous administrations for the disaster, suggesting without evidence that such policies may have led to incompetence in air traffic control. These comments have sparked significant backlash and have been widely criticized as unfounded and divisive. The loss has been deeply felt across various communities. The figure skating world is mourning the deaths of young talents and esteemed coaches. Families and friends of the victims are grappling with profound grief. American Airlines and government officials have expressed their condolences and are providing support to those affected. Memorials and tributes have been organized to honor the lives lost in this tragic event. As investigations continue, there is a collective call for a thorough examination of the factors that led to this catastrophe. The aim is to understand what went wrong and to implement measures that will prevent such a tragedy from occurring again. The aviation community, along with regulatory bodies, is expected to closely review air traffic control procedures, staffing protocols, and the management of congested airspace to enhance safety and restore public confidence in air travel. Sources: